Welcome. So today I'm here joined with my friend Marvin from Night Owl Realty, and we're going to talk about probate. So welcome, Marvin.
Thank you, Rilus, for having me on today.
Now, what was the question about probate you want to ask?
My question is for people that want to go through probate that don't understand is, can you explain what is in Arizona so people can have a better understanding about probate?
Great. Yeah, let's talk about it.
Okay.
So what is probate? Let me share my screen here. I have a little demo. I think probate's one of those things. There's lots of misunderstanding about it. There's lots of bad advice about it too. I feel
Absolutely.
like at cocktail parties, especially in some of these retirement centers, this is a popular topic, and there's a lot of bad advice out there.
I would agree. I would definitely agree with you.
So it's really important to be state specific, I would say, is the first thing.
Okay.
So I practice in Arizona and California. It can be very different in other states. So again, the retirement community, there's a cocktail party. You might get someone bragging about what they did for their parents to avoid probate in Minnesota or another state, but it's very different from Arizona and California.
Right.
So this example here, we have a couple. She passes away. He's the beneficiary of the life insurance. He was listed as a beneficiary, so he collects that, no problem. The house was titled in both of their names, so no problem, that goes to him.
Okay.
But this bank account just in her name, that's a problem.
Right.
So even if there's a last will and testament, so a last will and testament is a document, it designates who the manager of the estate is. So in Arizona, we call that the personal representative. I think people commonly refer to that as the executor.
Right. Typically, in a lot of states, other people will say, executor, but like you said, here in Arizona, they are known as personal representatives.
So if there's a will, it'll say who that is. And then the will also says who the beneficiaries are. So who has the right to receive from the estate of the deceased person.
Okay.
Now, how about this? What if someone doesn't have a will? What do you do?
Right. I mean, they're going to have to end up going through probate at the end of the day.
Well, maybe, but it's kind of the same thing. So if there's no will, it's called the laws of intestacy. So you search up the laws of intestacy for that state, and there's a default order of who has the priority to serve as the personal representative or the beneficiary.
Okay.
So, but in this case, there's a will saying he's in charge. Now, if he walks into the bank, let's say this is at Wells Fargo. What do you think would happen, Marvin, if you walked in with this will, said, "Hey, Mr. Wells Fargo, Mr. Banker, here's the will. Here's where it says I'm in charge. It names me to be in charge, and it names me to be the beneficiary. So, will you go ahead and transfer that account to me?"
Probably not. There's
Yeah.
probably going to still be some work that needs to happen on the back end in order for someone to get access to that account.
Yeah. So the bank's going to say, it's in her name. If she's not here to sign, we need a court order, is
Right.
basically what they're going to say, right? She's not here to sign. Then we need something from the court showing who has authority.
Absolutely.
So that's what probate is. So probate, it's the legal process or judicial process to appoint the personal representative of the estate.
Okay.
Now, the reason you hear bad things about it is because it's time consuming and expensive. It's not easy.
Right.
So there's a lot of hurry up and wait as I describe the process. So if Mr. Estate over here, if he called my office and said, "Hey, I need to collect this bank account, can you help me with the probate?" What we would do is, we'd fill out a bunch of paperwork. Basically, we call it the first wave of documents,
Right.
and we send it to the court, and then it sits there for a while, of course, before they look at it.
Now, when
And
you
then
say a while, how long are you thinking that process could take? I mean, to get from point A to point B when you say a while.
So our timeline, it takes us 2 to 3 weeks to prepare the first wave of probate paperwork, the
Okay.
application for probate. And some of that is dependent on the client, getting us information, getting the information back to us, like the addresses of all the beneficiaries and all the information. So sometimes just that part can take months, right? Just gathering all of that.
Right.
So, but once we have everything and then we file with the court, it varies by the county, but Maricopa County here in Phoenix, we see about 2 to 3 weeks is typically what they take.
Okay.
And then some of the other counties, some of the smaller counties like Pinell or Coconino in Arizona might be like 3 or 4 weeks.
Okay.
So now once they appoint you the personal representative, then the next thing we do is as soon as they get appointed, we publish in the newspaper and start a 4-month creditor period. It's required as part of a probate.
Right.
So you have to give any potential creditors notice and give them a chance to make a claim against the estate.
Okay.
So there's no way to do a fast probate, because of that. So once we get someone appointed, then we gotta wait 4 months for that creditor period. Now, during that time, if there's any real estate, they can sell the real estate, they can collect the bank accounts, they can gather everything, but they can't make distributions until that creditor period's over.
Right.
And you've settled with all creditors.
Right. And just so for clarification, because you brought up the real estate piece, is the real estate piece is, like you said, they could go ahead and sell it, but before they can even start the list of home, they need to be appointed the personal representative first before they can even go down that process. Right.
Yes. So important thing in the timeline. So when there's real estate involved, I try to clarify that they can have the authority to sell in about 4 to 6 weeks.
Okay.
So that's 2 to 3 weeks my time, and then 2 to 3 weeks for the court to approve.
Okay.
But after they sell the house or have the authority to sell, we're going to need some time to finish out the probate. But it's easier to settle the estate if we have cash as opposed to a house.
Right.
Because if we have 3 kids, it's a lot easier to send them each a share of money versus a share of a house.
Right. Because that process can also get very convoluted and also messy. When you have a lot of other beneficiaries and heirs that could be potentially someone that could receive money from a probate.
Yeah, it can. If there's multiple siblings, I'm not a fan generally of multiple people owning real estate together.
Okay.
So if a house, that's why it's a good idea to have an estate plan to designate one person to manage your estate. They can do what's best, have the authority to carry out and do what's best, but not have to answer to all the beneficiaries.
Right.
Because one kid might want to rent out the house, one might want to sell it, one might want to sell it on terms, or who knows? They could all have good ideas.
Right.
But it's nice to have just one person to manage that.
Absolutely, I would agree. So I guess another question, or go ahead.
No, as asked if that makes sense what probate is.
Yes, absolutely. That absolutely makes sense.
All right, thank you. So in our next video, we're going to be talking more about how we met. So we're going to talk about how real estate investors can reach out and work with a probate attorney like myself. And we're also going to be talking about what to do after someone passes away. So we're going to be going through the steps in what I do in administering an estate after someone passes away. So we'll see you guys in the next one.